Welcome to Get Connected. I'm Larena Hoeber. I'm an Associate Dean in Kinesiology and Health Studies, and we have here today Sidney Dobner, who was a former U of R Cougar basketball player. She was a guard, played from 2012 to 2016, and is currently an assistant coach with the Milwaukee Bucks, which we'll get to at some point. So welcome to this podcast. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions just to get started with. So you are from California?
Yes.
Okay. How did you get to Regina?
Oh, that's a great question. First of all, thank you for having me. So I actually knew someone who I played high school with that was playing for the University of Regina, Michelle, and we were playing on a semi-pro kind of summer league kind of team out in California. And I was kind of looking to leave the college that I was at and kind of searching for options of what I was going to do next. And she had mentioned to me that she was playing in Canada. And the cool part was you get another year of eligibility. So I was like, I get another year of basketball, pays for my school, math was done. Next thing I knew, Dave was calling me, asking to come fly out for a tournament to just guest and play with them. And so I flew out here, played one weekend, and next thing I knew, the next summer it was finished, and I'm playing in Saskatchewan, which I'd never heard of in my entire life.
So you've never been...
Oh, this was a culture shock right here. And I've been around the world now, and this was my first experience of, like, full-time snow. One of the football coaches over here, Schmidt, Bernie Schmidt, he saw me walking to one of my first classes. I lived a little bit over by the McDonald's over here, right? Yeah. So I was walking over to class. Dave will be happy to know that I was going to class. And I walk in, and it's snowing. Like, it is cold out there. Like, this is the first school day of winter. Yeah. And I have what you guys call a bunny hug, I believe it's called.
Yeah,
so
thanks for dropping that.
Sweatshirt. See, I learned
bunny
something.
Hug, that's awesome.
I try and tell people I speak English, Canadian. I mean, I got languages out here. There you go.
Too. Yep.
So I'm walking in to the school, and he's sitting there at Tim Hortons, and my eyebrows apparently just were covered in ice because I had walked over, and it was just frozen, everything. My hair was wet. You could have ripped a piece of my hair. Yeah. I come to school the next day. He's giving me a hard time, and somebody's mom had bought me a jacket from Costco because they found out that I was walking to school in a sweatshirt. So... that was my first experience of, like, living in snow, and it was humbling a little bit. It made me feel appreciative of home a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people here like to fly to, Phoenix and during the winter time, so I can see why they do that. But it was a great experience for me, and it helped me prepare for places I lived in the future, too.
Great. So, again, you have been other places, too, but if people find out that you played here at the University of Regina, what do you tell them about Regina?
I always say it's the place where I probably met the majority of the people I'll keep in touch with for a long period of time. Yeah. It's such a welcoming environment. I felt right at home right away. There's so many different families that took me in throughout the years. I was paying rent somewhere but staying somewhere else. Yeah. And if anybody knows me, I cannot cook, so... that was very important that I had homes to go to.
Oh, it's nice to hear that was a welcoming environment.
Absolutely.
And
the community as well. Yeah. There's so many people that would host things during the holidays that I wasn't able to go home. I haven't been home for Thanksgiving in over a decade. Yeah. And my family gets the, FaceTime to start, and that's all I get to see of them. Yeah. But here, I had a place to have dinner every single time. So
that's so nice.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So part of your career here, unfortunately, you had injuries as part of it. You redshirted to start, but then you had a full season at the end. What were some of the highlights of your basketball season here?
I had a lot of fun playing when I was able to. Unfortunately, I tore my ACL, so it took quite a while to rehab from that. But I just remember a lot of winning. We did a lot of winning, so that's always fun. And some road trips, that's one thing that I think students take for granted, student athletes, is that time that you're away from your school and you're on your own with your teammates on the road. That's when you build those lifelong relationships. So stuff like that are kind of the things that I remember, and a lot of making fun of Dave.
Hey, well, that's part of the process.
Of course.
So after you left here, I believe that you went and played professionally in the Netherlands.
Yes, I did.
So you've had like playing experience both in the United States, Canada, the Netherlands. How does it compare, or how is it different, or how is it the same in some of those different places?
Yeah, I mean, every team that I've played for has had a different style of play, which has been very fun for me, especially now going into coaching, because I've actually played so many different styles. In the United States, it's a little bit more controlled and half court, and then when you come up here, it's a little bit more like the European style, where it's like this faster pace, the 14-second reset on the shot clock. So some of that really actually did prepare me for the overseas like rules and kind of how they play the game. It's not a lot different than what you play in the States, but it is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So it was nice. That was a good transition for me that I had no idea would even be a transition that I had to make.
What was it like playing professionally in the Netherlands?
Oh, I loved it. I was 45 minutes outside of Amsterdam.
Okay.
My job was to play basketball.
Yeah.
Like that is a dream right there. So I was in the gym in the morning, walking to a market, or just walking around. There's tulips, windmill, like stuff you just don't see. Everybody's on bikes. I learned how to drive a stick shift with an instructor that mostly spoke Dutch, so I'm average at it.
Okay.
But I can drive it.
Yeah, that's good.
So, you learn things while playing, and then you also learn, like, life. So much happens like, basketball has taken me so many places, and I'm so grateful for it, and the basketball is what I love. But the side effect of loving basketball is all the stuff that I get to do outside of it. So I'm so thankful for any opportunity that I've had. And then being able to say that I've played at the highest level, or not the WNBA, but at professional level, was something that I've been thinking about since I picked up a basketball. And everybody told me that it wasn't going to be a possibility. And so when I finished here at the university, I actually didn't hire an agent or anything. I did it myself. I emailed all of these teams all over the world to try and figure out a place for me to play. And I ended up settling in the Netherlands.
Cool. Yeah. So I know we're going to get to the Bucks in a few minutes, but just talking about the idea, like you just brought up the WNBA and playing professionally, and again, the hype that's going on right now.
Oh yeah.
What do you think has contributed to that? Like, what's changed since you went to the Netherlands and you played there, to the explosion that's happened now with not only, I think, the WNBA, but hockey for women and things like that, the professionalization of sport for women. What's changed? Why do you think it's happening now? Well,
I think the biggest thing is women are getting opportunities to be shown. The percentage of male sports that is on television or on the radio or on your social media even. The things that companies and previous players, a lot of this stuff is run by players that are no longer playing. Yeah. For example, like Sue Bird. She started a company that brings attention to all women's sports. Right. So doing stuff like that, I think, has put an eye out for people's attention. Yeah. And now that attention's there, people recognize that, hey, this sport is actually really entertaining. And that means the level of knowing that you're able to play this game. Now more people are starting from that, young age and continuing to play. So that pool of players that you're picking from, the talent level continues to rise and the sport continues to grow. Yeah. So it sounds like it's things like the investment is in there, absolutely, media attention, social media, being able to control your own narrative and kind of showcase these things. What do you think has changed in terms of fans' perspective? Because obviously they also have to be part of this, of getting that attention and that interest. Because there always has been the criticism of that, women's sport is not as entertaining, it's not the same value. What's changed in that sense? Why do people now are in my opinion, nothing's changed. Okay. That's awesome. Nothing has changed. People just woke up. Okay. You should have been watching this whole time. I'll say it here first. And thank you to you for watching now, because the talent is just going to continue to rise. Yeah. So I'm sorry for all the people that have been missing it for this long. That's a great way to put it. It's your own fault. No, you're right. I completely agree with you. If you wanted to watch it, you could have watched it. Yeah. It's there. It's always been there. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's awesome. So you've been with the Bucks now since 2018. Is that correct? Honestly, I don't know the years, but it's been. I think that's on your LinkedIn page. Says about 2018. Sure. I would trust that over me right now for sure. So you moved in through different positions with the Bucks. Most recently, it was with the video. Most recently, I was an assistant coach with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But before that,
I was the head video coordinator.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So because I think getting into professional sport, both as an athlete, so many people dream of that. Mm-hmm. But I think even sometimes people who are maybe not athletes also want to work in professional sport.
For sure.
How'd you get in?
So my story, this is actually my favorite question to ask anybody in the NBA, because you could take a pool of 50 people, they'll all have a different story.
Wow.
There is no direct path to the NBA. Everybody has their own path.
Yeah.
That's from players, coaches, front office, to helps medical staff, anything. So depending on which department, but my story specifically, I had just finished playing overseas, and I came back to California, and I was coaching club basketball for boys, like 3rd grade all the way to 9th grade. And while that was going on, I was helping out the guy who ran the club team work with an agency who does what's called a pro day. So these guys that are about to get drafted from college, they do like a training camp for like 4 to 6 weeks, let's say.
Yeah.
And so I assisted in those workouts, and they have this one day where all the general managers, front office, scouts, they just come and watch them do a 45-minute workout right before the draft for their last look at these players. So I participated in this for 2 summers. The second summer, I finished the workout, and as soon as the workout was done, these 2 guys that I've never seen before walked right past all the players that I was working with and came to talk to me. And I was like, oh, God, what did I do wrong? I must have embarrassed myself somehow. And one of the guys was just like, hey, well, what do you do? And I told him I coached 1 year of women's college basketball.
Okay.
And then was coaching this club. And the guy goes, have you ever considered working in the NBA? And I was like, no, actually, I haven't.
Yeah.
And then he said, would you be interested? And I was like, thinking to myself, who is this guy?
Yeah.
I was like, absolutely. So he grabs the other guy's business card, writes his cell phone number down on the card, and hands it to me. And he goes, give me a call after this next workout's done, and we'll be in touch. I give him a call just to find out that he's the general manager of the Milwaukee Bucks. So I give him a call.
Yep.
We get to talking for a little bit, and he's like, okay, I don't know what I have available right now, but I really like your personality. I liked the way you worked on the court, interacted with these players. Just sit tight, and I'll be in touch. And I was like, what is going on? And I didn't tell anybody about this except for the head coach that I was working with.
Yeah.
And 2 months go by, and I haven't heard anything. I was like, oh, that was cool. I got to talk to the general manager. I get a phone call, and it's from the general manager, and he goes, what are you doing next weekend? Can you fly out to Milwaukee? And I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I have so many plans, but it doesn't matter. I'm going. So I fly out to Milwaukee, and my interview was literally guarding an NBA player full court and running him through a workout. And so 7 o'clock in the morning, right after my 5-hour flight, I get on the court, run a workout, finish the workout, come have lunch with the general manager and 2 other people, and fly back to California. 2 weeks go by. Hey, do you want to come work for our G League team as a coaching associate? Absolutely. Pack up my car, drive all the way to Milwaukee, and I'm there ever since.
Wow. So what do you think made him come over to you? Do you have any sense? Did you ever ask him? Like, why did he approach you?
Through the years, we kind of hinted at some stuff and why. A motto that my uncle once told me and something that I live by is you never know who's watching. So how I carry myself in a workout every day, it's like a general manager is watching. And so when I was doing that workout, I was having fun with the players, encouraging. I'd hop in. I was getting drafted just as much as they were. It was so important to me that they had a good workout to elevate their spot in the draft that it felt like it was my assignment to get it done.
Wow.
So that's how I carried myself every day in work. I work hard, stay humble.
It's a great piece of advice to sort of just realize, too, you never know
who's
watching you, who's around, who can see the potential or not the potential, or making some decisions about some of those things. But it also sounds like, too, just taking advantage of an opportunity, of being flexible, considering something that maybe you hadn't considered before was also super important.
Absolutely. You have to be open to everything or else nothing's going to come your way.
Yeah. All right. So getting to the big part, again, the assistant coach.
Yeah.
And the first woman assistant coach for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
Honestly, when it first happened, I was like, this isn't real, right? Like, what do you mean the first? And I probably didn't take the best approach at it at the beginning just because I was like, okay, now I have it. I have to keep it. I got to make sure that I know what I'm doing and all this. And that's still in the back of your mind, of course. But now it's like, well, there's so many doors that I can help open. And there was a period of time where I just I had a conversation with somebody or something, and they asked me, well, how many other women are assistant coaches in the NBA? And I think the most that the NBA's ever had at one time is 9, which is, there's 30 teams, so like, that's not a lot, and a staff is like 8 to 10 coaches. So the year that I was an assistant coach, I believe there were 3 or 4 others. So trying to build that becomes important. It's the same thing we were talking about, like how if you see it, you know it's a job that you can have. When I was asked, have you ever been considered working in the NBA? I didn't know that was a possibility.
Right.
Yeah, of course, I knew of Becky Hammond. Like, everybody knows of her. She's on the TV, but could I be that? I didn't play in the WNBA. So to be able to be that person for somebody else is such a rewarding feeling every day, and gives you that little extra, all right, I got to wake up at 4 o'clock today. You're welcome, little girl. I'm just kidding.
No, but I think we still exist in a world where we do need to have those role models, those people, so that if you see it, you can be it.
Right.
And again, as you said, like when you don't see it, you don't really think that that's a possibility. For men, that is, and still is always something that they can see someone, whether it is as a GM, as a coach, as the head trainer, any of these types of positions. But for so long, you didn't see women in those types of positions. So people would say, oh, you can be whatever you want. And it's like, yeah, well, not that. Because I don't see it. So that's great.
Right.
That's super exciting. Do you think that there's going to be a time, and this is not to diminish at all what you've accomplished,
a head coach,
when you don't have firsts anymore? Like, do you think that it's going to be like that? There's not going to be, we're going to celebrate all like, oh, they're the first woman to be the head coach or the first woman to do this. Is that happening?
Yeah, at some point I think it's going to happen. I don't know that it's there right now. But I do think at some point it should just become the normal. In my opinion, that's how it should have always been. The best person fit for the job should get the job. I don't want a job coaching in the NBA if I'm only getting it because I'm a woman. I want a job because I'm good at the job. And so that's what I hope it ends up being. I don't want it to be first or the last of something either. Like, that would be terrible too. So I want it to be the best person fit for that job should be the one getting that job. So what are you excited about in the upcoming season? So
I know we're not getting into anything, like no secret, no nothing like that. It's just, what are you excited about?
I don't know if I'm dropping a bomb here, but I am not returning to the Bucks. So I'm interviewing for multiple other positions right now, so it's a very exciting time for me. I've spent 6 or 7 years in Milwaukee, and so it's gonna be exciting to work in a new system, a new organization. I was very thankful for everything that I've gone through, being, like you said, the first, and I hold that city very dearly to my heart, and maybe one day I end up back there, but
as the head coach.
Who knows? So now it's an exciting time for me. Like, I get to come here during this period of time that I normally wouldn't have, and am interviewing and meeting so many more people outside of the bubble of the people that I was just working with. So this next NBA season, I think, is going to be very entertaining. I think there's a lot of teams that have a chance to win, and to me, that makes the level of the game that much better all year round. So I can't believe it's work sometimes. I love it so much.
Well, but that's the awesome part, is when you can actually get into something where you enjoy it, you're challenged, but you don't see it in the same way as work. It's not going to beat you down.
I'm so thankful.
You're in the zone, you love it. Things like that. Cool. So again, we're going to bring this back to U of R. So let's say that a student wants to get into let's say either just coaching or professional sport. What advice would you give to them?
Okay, into coaching. Just start there because that's a little different. So coaching, I would say starting with anywhere you can do some youth stuff is always great because you just learn how to talk to people. Sometimes you have to talk to people like it's the basics, right? So you learn the foundation of the game that way a little bit. The other thing I would say about coaching is to listen or read or watch stuff relative to coaching. games, no matter the sport, it's always changing. There's either trends of the ways to play or analytics become involved in what the trend or whatever's working or how your team is fit to play. So it's nice to know the new things, the old things, and what's going to fit your philosophy.
Yeah.
And coaching, too, is just about repetition. Like, you have to be able to go out and get your reps in.
Yeah.
The more you're comfortable running, let's say, a workout or a practice, the more confident you're going to be as you increase the level that you're coaching. So it can be a long, frustrating path sometimes, but it's worth it in the long run.
Right.
And the other part, you have to watch your sport.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how players even don't watch the sport
that
they play.
Yeah.
You don't realize what you're doing if you don't watch it from somebody else's perspective a little bit. So I think watching film is very important to coaching and self-development too, because you see your translation of what you're coaching by watching.
Right.
And then you get ideas by watching other people.
But it's true. But I think you step into a different perspective and to see it a little bit differently, I think is very important
Of course.
for those experiences. So what do you think? Do you have any advice about, again, a lot of students want to get into working in professional.
Yeah.
How do you get in?
Yeah. So a lot of people take the path of LinkedIn and you just fire out millions of messages. Like, I'll tell you right now, I have probably couple thousand unread messages right now, and love all of you, can't respond to all of you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that is one way. Sometimes you get lucky, and a lot of times that's more front office or like you got to find the right people that, and it depends on how each organization's structured. But sometimes you just got to be persistent.
Yeah.
And having something that like your portfolio sent with it right away. So you don't need a reply to get more information, right? The other part is, at least in NBA, they have what's called a summer league. So these young guys, a development league where they just play a few games for 10 days in Las Vegas, just finished up. I actually just came from there.
Okay.
And they play all day long, and then everybody is in that city. All the teams are there.
Yeah.
So every scout, executive, anything like that. So I would volunteer to work at the summer league first, because then you're getting already the experience and you'll get to meet those people that work in the organization. Otherwise, they're just sitting in the stands right next to you in general population. Like it's first come, first serve. So you may end up sitting next to a general manager and a scout, a GM, like it could be anybody. And then you can spark a conversation that could get you an internship.
Right.
Most people don't start in professional sports without doing an internship first.
Yeah.
Some go unpaid. NBA is mostly paid when they do internships. It's not luxurious. You get to do some perks that are luxurious, but your pay is, I guarantee you, you're not going to like it. But it's worth it. You learn everything. You have a hard job, but no job is too little or too big. And that's how you start to develop that trust, and then you can work your way into the organization. Other than that, sometimes it's who you know. You can reach out to people like that. And otherwise you're just finding an email maybe online too. And it's the same thing as LinkedIn, right? You want to send almost like a resume type thing so that they don't have to do a reply. They have the information on you right away.
Yeah. But I like the idea too of that it's important to sort of know where some of these people are, take that opportunity, like the volunteer.
Absolutely.
Like sometimes it's you got to pay it forward a little bit of putting yourself out there, going to these places, volunteering.
Like some of these teams, they run like camps and stuff like that, but the coaches aren't putting those camps on.
Right.
It's actually just people that are in the community or work in the front office or something like with fan engagement or something like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes those are other ways to get into those too.
Right.
It may not be exactly correlated to the team, but you could be seen by somebody who's passing by.
Yeah.
Again, you never know who's watching.
Exactly. So one last question, then maybe I'll just wrap it up for you if you've got anything else you want to share. But again, part of I think the uniqueness as well too is like how difficult it is for women to get involved, particularly in men's sports. It's really difficult. Do you have any last piece of advice for women that either want to get into like these head coaching positions, assistant coaching positions, or just like get into this stuff that it's been so difficult? Do you have any advice for women?
I think staying true to yourself is really important. You should have confidence in what you believe in and who you are, and that should be enough right there.
Right.
Everybody should treat you correctly if you carry yourself the way you want to be seen. So going back to what I said about you never know who's watching, staying true to yourself is so important, because the more you're up and down like this, the less you can be consistent about what everybody else is seeing you as. So for women, I mean, it's not easy. There's going to be times where you're not treated the same, and you got to have some thick skin for sure. But you have to find a way to make it your own too. Yeah. I'm known to, if somebody says something to me, I'll be able to say it right back. And I'm talking to the players. I'll tell Giannis Antetokounmpo I won't say it on camera, but you can understand where I'm going.
But you will reply. You will.
But you have to stand your ground. Like, it's okay to say no to stuff. It's okay to ask and make sure you're getting an equal pay for the same spot. It's okay to ask those questions. But if you go in timid, it's going to be hard to get what you want. Yeah. So I do think confidence, not overly confident, because you still want to be humble, but knowing that you can have those conversations is so important.
So is there anything else that you think I should have asked you today that I didn't ask you?
It's a great question. I don't know.
Or anything else you want to share? So this, it's going to go to the U of R students, faculty.
Yeah, I mean, I should just say thank you. This was such a big place for me in my life, because I was so far away from home. I really came into my own as a human being, and I really learned how much I love basketball. Okay. And I'm very thankful for the people around me here that allowed me to do that, to kind of find myself here. So,
that's awesome.
I guess I just want to say thank you to all my teammates that were out here, and I miss all of them, of course. Always welcome to come visit. Free tickets. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. If you have any other questions, but I'm an open book over here.
I think I'm good. Thanks so much, Sidney.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.